are very happy for being here. Thanks for coming. And we want to share with you some parts of our work, not only as a duo, but also our work with other collectives. And for doing that, I want to start with the history of my family, because that history has influenced our work a lot. No? Sometimes I'm still struggling with the English, so please, if you cannot understand something, just tell me and I can try to explain it with other words. No? So, yeah, just to let you know. So, can we see the presentation, please? This is my mom's side of the family. A group portrait, as Camilo loves. And this is a very average family in Mexico City. No, we don't have nothing special. And if we can see the next image, we could see the migration map of my grandparents, my mom, my aunties, and my dad from the places where they were born to Mexico City. So my family came from everywhere, no? And at the crowded point, almost in the center, is Mexico City, no? So this huge migration is part of the history of that city, no? It's very common in that area. So in this part, I would like to tell you about the history of the land in Mexico to share some context, no? Because I think it's important, that context, to understand why the land is important for us, why many activists nowadays are murdered for defending the land against big projects, no? Like minings and some other kind of extractions. So let's start with that. I want to do it in a very, very, very simple way, no? Because it's a very complex history. So after the conquest, the Spaniards took almost all the land from the indigenous people in Mexico, or it was called the New Spain, no? So they took the land, and for 300 years, almost all the land there were in a very few hands between Spaniards, their descendants, and the Catholic Church. No? So after the independence, this situation didn't change, and we had a period where a dictator was in the power for 30 years. This dictator was Porfirio Díaz. That period is very famous because there were haciendas. Haciendas is a big portion of land owned by the richest people in the country and by foreigners. And many indigenous people worked on these haciendas as campesinos. Campesinos means something similar than farmers, no? It's similar, but it's not the same, no? It's not the same because campesinos doesn't have the rights of the farmers, but they work with the land. So the campesinos / farmers there were working almost in a slavery way, no? So that provoked the civil war that we had for 10 years called the Mexican Revolution. And we have a very famous character in this civil war named Emiliano Zapata. And if you know the Zapatistas movement, you know that the Zapatistas took the name of Emiliano Zapata for this movement, no? And Emiliano Zapata used to say in Spanish that la tierra es de quien la trabaja. That means the land belongs to the people who work the land, no? So in the case of the indigenous campesinos or indigenous farmers, if they work the land, so the land belongs to the indigenous people, no? So the main goal of the revolution was to distribute the land, no? And after the revolution, this distribution started, but in a very slow way, complicated way, and it took decades for that distribution, and until now, that distribution never ended, no? Now it's abandoned, and many people receive the worst land, no? And the better land was for the richest people again, no? So some that call it's very interesting for me is that the distribution of the land was for the indigenous people, no, or for the farmers, for the campesinos. So many of these older campesinos said that they didn't want the land because they thought that the land was owned by the landlord, no? So they felt that they didn't have any kind of right for the land, no, yes, over the land. So the new generations said, yes, I want the land, no? So the new generations received the land. They participated in this distribution of land. And that's why my grandfather, at the age of 16 years old, received 3 hectares of land. 3 hectares is like 3,000 square meters of land. So he was so young that he wasn't know how to work the land. He didn't have the money to buy the seeds or to buy the machines or to make a infrastructure for irrigation, no? So they had problems with the water. So the history of my grandpa, I knew it because my mom always talked about that, no? Talk about the relationship of my grandfather with the land and about her relationship with the land because she grew up in this period. So she's always talking about that, no? But in very informal way, no? And she's talking about that during the breakfast, during the lunch, during the dinner, during the parties, with her friends, with us, with everybody, no? So she's a very great storyteller. So the things that I know about her and about this history is because she likes to speak. So she told me that my grandparents migrated to the States as in an illegal way to obtain some income to buy the seeds and all the things that he needed to work the land, but he never won enough. So with the time, they decided to give the land to another relative. This common land, well, I have to say that this land was not individual property. Yeah, it was a communal property. So the indigenous people organize themselves as a collective in something called ejidos. It was a communal land, no? So they couldn't sell the land. Only the government could take one part of the land, of that land, to build, for example, a road, no, something for the public interest. But the campesinos, the farmers, couldn't sell the land. It was not allowed by law. So it was very difficult for my family to maintain this land. So just they gave it to another relative and they migrated to Mexico City. My mom was 13 years old, more or less, when he arrived to Mexico City. And some years later, her parents followed her. So and this is the story of many families in Mexico. So in the 60s, 70s, many people from the rural areas went to the Mexico City, and they couldn't find a place to live, no? So they settled on the edges of the city. And at the beginning, they started to live in communal houses called vecindades in a very bad conditions. And after a while, they started to took in an illegal way some parts of the land in the city. That's why my mom participated in the largest illegal land invasion of Latin America in 1971. So it was known like the largest illegal land invasion because more than 10,000 people participated in this illegal invasion, and they took a volcanic land at south of Mexico City. This volcanic land was created by a young volcano named Xitle, and Xitle in an indigenous language, the Nahuatl, means belly button. So they took the belly button of the earth, and with the volcanic stones, they built not only their own houses, but the entire neighborhood. So it was like a communal work where everybody worked for a communal, yeah, for a communal purpose, yeah. And I started to recollect this oral history, and it took me like 5 years to interview and to talk not only with my mom, but also with my aunties, my entire family, my neighbors, and people that I didn't know in that moment, but that they participated in this illegal invasion. And at the beginning, I thought that it will be a book, but at the end, David and I made a short documentary about it. So we can see a little bit of this, but first, I have to say that you will hear and see some musicians. They will sing a song about the history, about this history that I just told you, no? This kind of music is called corridos, and it's like the juglares. I don't know the name for juglares in English.
It's a jungle.
So they are like composers slash singers who wrote the lyrics of the songs about one event, no? And they shared this news among other people. So it was very important that kind of music during the Mexican Revolution, so the people from the south could know what was happening at north, no? So it was kind of communication. So these musicians are singing about the way that they arrived to this volcanic land in 1971.
Enseguida dijo él, nos venimos otra vez.
Aquel del 71 se le voy a recordar. 15.000 paracaidistas salimos a peregrinar. Con la misma sin bolines, todos hacían su chocita. Y sin miedo las mujeres cargaban sus criaturitas.
Skip this part because we already see it. And so
Siempre entregar, pues así, y el hospital por la tierra volcánica, no había ninguna construcción, fue apenas un mezquite visto por allá.
No había luz, no había agua, no había pues nada. No había ni siquiera una vereda que dijera, ah, no, pues no, por esta vereda. No.
Parece que así viene la leyenda de que eran de los dominicos. Y parece ser que los dominicos se los dieron a comuneros.
Eran proyectos incluso común, son reconocidos en la colonia como propiedad de los indígenas. Instalaron también un de pues, ranchos religiosos y de civiles. Y poco a poco se fueron expandiendo los ranchos. Los indígenas fueron una gran cantidad de tierra y todo el periodo colonial es un proceso de litigio por la tierra.
They are talking about how they arrived to this place. And one thing that it was important for me to discover is the importance of the women in this history, because women were the people who stayed at home and fight against the police. Because the land that they took was a communal land. So if you remember what I told you, the communal land the people couldn't sell it or buy it, no? So they took this communal land, and the original idea of the government was to invite professionals to take the land, and then these professionals could sell the land. I don't know if I'm clear in this part, but that was the plan of the government. But many people who was not paid by the government, who was not invited by the government, as my mom and all her friends and sisters, came to the land and participated in this invasion. So the plan failed, and the people who was not invited had to fight against the government to stay in that part of the city. So it took many years, like 20 years, for legalize their houses and everything. And after that, they thought that, we'll be here, we are safe, we are happy, everything is gonna be okay. But then In 1992, the common land with the neoliberalism was allowed to sell and to buy it. So it began a privatization of the land very quickly, no? And it started like this gentrification phenomena. So these people that invaded the land in the 70s now are working together to defend the neighborhood against gentrification. So they are still working together, no? And this is the beginning, no, of that neighborhood.
And they were allowed to stay even though the land was sold?
Yes, because now they are the owners of the land, no? So if they don't sell, they can stay. So it's up to them to sell or not. But the problem is like the new generations are forgetting this history. So for them, could be nicer to sell the house and forget about everything, no? So yeah, they are trying to talk with the next generations about this history. So let's continue. And so after finished this documentary, we started to think about the situation of our generation related to the housing situation, no, in big cities. So we started to think about what our generation have to do to obtain a place to live, no? So we started to think about what is the common way to obtain a house nowadays, because I understood that my grandpa and my mom have had a house or a land because they took it. Yes, also, yeah. I started to think, what can I do? So, but I thought that the most common way was in this moment, it was to buy a new apartment through a mortgage loan, no? So I started to ask to the banks how much they can give me, how much money they can give me. And with the money that they can lend me, I can buy anything in Mexico City. So we started to do these 3D printings where you can see the architectural plan, and the highest walls are the proportions that I can buy through a mortgage loan that I will have to pay for 20 years of my life. So for me, this walls represents 20 years of my life, no, the value of 20 years of my life. So I made the same exercise in different neighborhoods and with different results, but at the end, I couldn't afford anything, no? So I started to build these maquettes in the real life, and with the same materials and near the buildings where these new apartments are, with the same design, with the same materials. And well, this is 20 years of my life in the reality. And I also made this exercise in different parts of the city. And for example, this is a cooperative, a housing cooperative. It was one of the oldest housing cooperative in Mexico City. And I started to talk with them about their own history, and I started to make also another documentary about their history because it's very similar than the history that I told you before about my neighborhood. And they, in this moment, they were struggling with the real estate pressure because many companies wanted to buy this land, this space. So for the real estate, they said, no, this is an empty space. Nobody is doing nothing with this space. So just want to buy it. But it's the communal area for the for this cooperative. They make their festivities there, their assemblies there. So they said, no, I don't can sell it, no? So I put this sculpture here, and the background of the photo is a wall, a gray wall, and it was the border of another building that we can see the next image because perhaps it's so with the time they changed the color of the sculpture and so on, and they organized assemblies around the sculpture. And I wanted to say before that that wall was the border of this building that a big company were building in the vicinity of the cooperative, no? So my sculpture is one of these luxury apartments. So you can see the difference between the luxury buildings and the cooperative, no? The cooperative is inside of, in a very luxury neighborhood, very famous in Mexico City. So they are still fighting against this gentrification phenomenon again, no? So we can see the next one. I did the same exercise in Berlin. So I don't know if you know this building. The name is Living Levels building. And with this work, I started to think what happened if the question of time doesn't have limits, no? I mean, with the other works, my limit was the time that I spent to paying the debt. And in this, with this sculpture, I started to question about how many time a person with an average income for Berlin could take for pay the entire apartment. And the result was 280 years, or 3 lives if that person lives 90 years each life. No? So the work also has another video, but it doesn't matter. For building these sculptures, we had to create sketches with renders, with architectural renders, and to work with these 3D hyper-realistic images allow us to think about how these realistic images are used by the real estate companies, because they sell the apartments even before the apartments are ready. So, and they show you not only the empty space of the apartment, no? They show you the image of the space with furniture, with lights, with a very nice ambience. So they sell you not only the space, they are selling you also a dream, a lifestyle. Yeah. So we started to invite, we make invasions inside of these renders, no? With our own renders. So we are talking about dreams and the dream of a house.
A veces
and
despierto
how,
como si me hubieran golpeado el
is,
pecho.
this sensation of failure, because you cannot obtain a house is rising. How do you say? Implementando, rising in our generation, no? I mean, you feel that
Era un departamento tipo 2 por 60 metros cuadrados de producción, más un roof garden de 10 metros cuadrados. Ese era el precio, 5.163.000. En un tercer nivel, tenía dos cajones de estacionamiento y ya contaba con acabado, mantenimiento en muros, una integral equipada, ecotecnología, calentador solar de agua, los baños eran completos y lo entregaron en 45 días.
started to work more and more.
No importaba lo que
This
hiciera,
kind of
cuando me daba cuenta, ya estaba en la habitación.
images, no?
Pero
So
nadie.
we saw that all
Era un
kind
cuarto
of
blanco,
hyperrealistic
donde las
images
paredes
are in the games, video games. So we also invade
Afuera
another
escuchaba voces que
virtual
discutían,
world made it by a video
pero
game, no?
no lograba.
We started to work with this video game called GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know if you know it. Grand Theft Auto 5 is a very violent video game. And it is like a copy of Los Angeles, this city of the States, where Los Angeles has a lot of Mexicans living there. So this video game copy Los Angeles, and it has its own real estate inside of the game. So you can kill people or to rob things to obtain a house, no? So we changed the rules of this world in order to perform inside this world through an avatar. So we can see just a little bit, and can we hear a little bit of this video?
Casi sin gravedad. Casi sin densidad. Me gustaría flotar de nuevo en tu vientre líquido. Salta. ¿Me dejarás entender tus voces otra vez? Como cuando vendrás. Cuando me cantabas. Buenos días, mi niña. Beso tus ojitos adormilados. ¿Estás lista para bailar conmigo?
Estrella, ella,
Huh?
Din Hichichimeca.
Well, in this kind of performances, we were looking for tenderness in a very violent world inside of the video game, but also outside of it, for example, in Mexico City or in many other big cities, no? So after that, well, more at the same time, we were working in other projects. No, one of these other projects is called CASA. We
Didn't
started this
Hichichimeka.
project in 2018.
Chitanatarin Hiusa.
There,
Hihi. Man eurir ni
We
senso.
started to work
Por eurir
with
marrejo.
an indigenous community
Causa. Na
star
ibahir esa.
or
Quien
Chichimecanas,
de betinder.
is they
Ma pesa
call
peba.
themselves as a nation.
Kahu. Kesi
No?
urti
They are
kahu.
the nation, the
Matumarereza.
Chichimeca
Y
nation.
Irán Zautaka.
So
Como
they are very
Ranzo.
proud
Misión de
because
Arnedo.
they never were
Ranzo usa.
conquered by
Sandan.
the Spaniards, no?
Y
But
Kagun
they
es
were
algún.
very
Casi pues usarme. Niri. Ni urir marrejo.
touched
Kagun
by
es
the war.
algún.
So
Ni
we started to work with them,
Ni urir.
walking
Ni
on the
matumarer.
hills and
Kana izin man
renaming
isu
the
seme.
hills
Kego be
in
man
their mother language,
Kagun.
because their language
Kangar.
is only spoken in this
Kita kangar.
part of the world, no?
Es
It has spoken only in its
como es arjun.
in only this town, no? So they are losing the language, and they are trying to share the language with the next generation. So we started to make didactics materials for to help the teachers to share the language with the new generations. So in this video, the teachers are saying that it took
Airo.
400
Para ikagun.
years to erase their memory. So it will take 400 years to recover it, no? So, and this is like a version or an something synthesized of the works that we made through years, no? So he, the teacher is calling everything in USA, no? The birds, the sunrise, everything. And he's explaining that to teach the language is related to teach the relationship with the land and with the culture, no? With the dance also. It's not only words, it's the whole ecosystem, no? So we can pass to the other one. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my turn. Don't worry, I have subtitles for me. I'm going to present a collective project with which we have been working for more than 10 years. This is TLC. TLC is a collective working with new ways of inhabiting and reclaiming public space through play and collective learning. This is another picture. For almost half of its existence, it has collaborated with the schools, creating educational projects in which it works to integrate community knowledge of the places where these schools are located. The idea of these projects is to break down to the barriers of schools and bring new approaches and community knowledge that are sometimes blocked by formal education. To put the children in direct contact with the community so that the school is not isolated from the community dynamics. We also work with the educational areas of museums and cultural initiatives, creating site-specific activation to talk about how spaces are never neutral. For several years, we developed different projects for children, which we designed based on the idea of concentric circles. These concentric circles were the body, the family, the friends, the school, the community, and the other communities. Some videos about these educational projects. These are projects with educational initiatives in Mexico, private initiatives in Mexico. Amauta. One of the last projects was at the Central de Abasto, located in Iztapalapa, in my neighbor, Mexico City. It's the world's largest wholesale market, covering 3.27 kilometers square of land area, making it larger than the country of Monaco. We work in a place that take care of workers' children. Some image. And during the pandemic, for the same place, we developed a series of animation that reflected on the origin of the food. And this is a really short example. Ancestor Orange is the traduction. We can put the sound. We can try put the sound. Sorry.
La la. Easy.
Sorry. Always with the idea of creating accessible contents so that children can approach the new forms of knowledge and non-official. If you want to see more projects, all in Spanish, it's a shame. You can visit this website. No, this is our website of the website of our collective. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Later.
So we are
Yeah.
almost finished. Don't worry. So
Este?
ah. So when we came here to Europe, I saw my mom to say goodbye, and she casually, she told me, por cierto, hija, I was born in the same year and in the same province than Paricutin. Paricutin is a Mexican volcano once known as the youngest in the world, no? So with that my head exploded. And when I came here with David, we started to looking for volcanoes in the Netherlands. So the Netherlands is famous for being a flat country, but we found 4 volcanoes. 2 submarine volcanoes under the sea at north of the Netherlands, and 2 in the Caribbean Dutch. So both were very impressive for us. And the Caribbean Dutch, it was like, oh, come on, what is possible that the Dutch has a part of the land in the Caribbean? But we started to research also about it, but it was so complicated for us that we paused that research and we started to research about the two submarine volcanoes. So one of these submarine volcanoes is named Sweetwater volcano. It's something like the south wall, no? The volcano of the south wall. And this volcano is very unknown in the Netherlands, but a company found a bubble of natural gas on its crater. So this company started to mine this land to extract the natural gas for 40 years until this gas was empty. No, so what was created for millennia was consumed only in 4 decades. No, so this gas was used in industry and also in housing, for heating houses. So even you don't know where the gas is come from, perhaps you have more contact with the deepest layers of the land, even if you don't know it. No, so we started to think that this volcano was wounded for this extraction, and we create a lullaby to console the volcano, and we create a storytelling for this volcano, because this volcano doesn't have songs or legends around it, and for us as Mexican was impossible. No, how the volcano cannot have a legend or a song. So we create a lullaby for Sweetwater, and in this story we create a relationship between Sweetwater and my mom, and women like my mom who build with their own house neighborhoods, because I think women like her are like volcanoes. Both the volcanoes and women like her can destroy and build land. No, so for us they are like sisters. So my mom is like the youngest sister of the volcanoes. So in Nahuatl we have a name for that, and it's Xocoyotl. Xocoyotl means the youngest child in a family. So Xocoyotas is the youngest girl of a family. No? So in the history we called them Xocoyotas. No? So we want to show you this video, but in the other room, because here the sound is not good for that. But before, we want to tell you about our current project here in Künstlertorf. So after to make this lullaby for the volcano, we started to think about the gas, about the geologic, about the gas natural gas. And we started to think how many geological time it takes to create the gas, no? And we started to research about that, and we talked with people from volcanology, science of the earth, permaculture, and nobody answered our question. But in the research, we found that we can produce our own gas, no? Through something called biodigester. A biodigester is a container where you put poop of cows or pigs, and you put also organic waste. So the bacteria inside the poop eats the organic waste, and in the process they make gas. They make gas, and after that process, the result also is a kind of fertilizer. for something that a substance that fertilizer. It's a fertilizer. So it's a cycle, it's a closed cycle, no? You put inside something that is wasted in another process, and you take out something that you can put again for a new cycle, no? In this case, to feed the plants. So we started to play with the idea of biodigesters, and we built one. This is part of the installation where the first biodigester that we made were. So we built a biodigester, and the idea was to take the gas of this biodigester to heat the space of the gallery, because we were in winter, and as a Mexicans, we need warm. So we need to resolve our problems. So we decided to build this installation, but the first biodigester, it generates gas, but not enough for heating the space. So we obtained the gas, another kind of biogas, no? It was also produced by a biodigester, but in an industrial way. So we use that gas to heat the space. So the gas came from the blue container through the pipes, and the cube is a drawing with pipes, and it's 1 cubic meter of gas, literally in the space. So the gas went out through the heaters, no? So now we want to try again a new version of the biodigester, thinking that this is a better weather for the bacteria, and hopefully we can make more gas. And in this moment also we are experimenting with materials for maintain the warm, the heat, the hot. So we are working with clay and with volcanic rocks, because we saw that clay and volcanic rocks are very good materials to maintain the space warm, no? So we are working with pipes, with these materials, and with the biodigester. So on Saturday, you can see the new version of the biodigester. And in 1 month, hopefully we can see the tire that is inside of the biodigester fat. So that is the signal that we are creating gas. So I don't know if
we still work in a video, in a new video.
Can you tell us about it?
It's about the energy and who have the rights to use the energy, no? And yeah, it's the continue of this research.
Yeah, because something that is interesting for us is that one friend of us told us that this process of the biodigester is a kind of fermentation, no? So if you take care of the life of the bacteria, you can maintain your own life. Because if you maintain the life of the bacteria, you can obtain the gas, and with the gas, you can cook your food or heat your room, etc. No? So for us to build these biodigesters are a process of sensibilization, no? Because it's a way to be in contact with something that in the modernity we don't have contact. No, we don't have directly contact neither with the gas, neither with these kind of bacteria. So for us, it's important to know what is happening inside in the earth and inside of the biodigester.
We can go to see the movie.
We can go to the cinema. It's a matinee. I don't know. Perhaps if you want, I don't know. What do you think?
No, and I can go to
Ah,
prepare
that's a good
everything
idea.
and you can
Uh-huh.
answer the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, more comment than questions. So the biogas, I mean, that's a very common practice in Germany. And they call it sustainable, but in fact, what you say is a fertilizer is actually really, really bad. It's used in agriculture, and in households, you're supposed to collect organic waste, which then goes into these big industrial gas things. But if you think of the soil, because you've been talking a lot about the soil, it's actually dead material. So you're fertilizing the plant is one way, and this is the traditional agriculture, how it's done in Europe, and it's a problem because you're not keeping the soil alive. You're just nourishing the plant. And in fact, the fertilizer goes through the soil into the groundwater. And we really have problems, at least in Germany, but I think in all of Europe, that the groundwater is polluted with Stickstoff. Yeah. So this is actually, I mean, people think the general people think, oh yeah, we're doing something sustainable. You're not. So the way, and I don't know if you remember yesterday, I showed the hot compost. So I think this is really more a sustainable way of creating fertile soil, because you're feeding the organisms that live in the soil, rather than depleting the soil and just adding, you know, the nutrients from top, which basically filter down into the water, and it's a vicious circle. So it's not a sustainable circle of life. You're actually also feeding into killing life in a way, or not sustaining life. So that was just like one side comment. And also, I had a conversation with you this morning about the sheep, because she's being followed by sheep. She lives on the land in Portugal where there are a lot of sheep. And the wool is white. And the wool, exactly, yeah. So, and you were talking about clay and volcanic materials, which of course, I mean, coming from your context, is probably the closest material for insulation or keeping as a heat storage. But maybe since you're working here, apparently I learned this morning, the sheep are even on the local flag for this area. So maybe this could be also an idea to think about the wool of the sheep for insulation, but also for organic fertilizing, for example, if you want to think in circular economies. Yeah, so these were just some thoughts. And there's actually an artist, I can write it down for you later, Volker Köberling is her name. And she actually built a house, or a complete installation of a house with wool. And she also has done really funky public interventions where she's marching with the farmers, the sheep farmers through the cities, and she might be a really interesting artist to look at. But I really appreciate, thank you for sharing, and also really bringing across the context, you know, which I think is really also important for us maybe to also be reminded of.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for sharing this. We are still learning about it. And in Mexico, it has another context, no? The biodigesters has another context, and they are studying it, no? But also they tell us that you should ask to the German people, because here you have a bigger biodigesters, no? But so talking with people here in Germany, we discovered that it depends on the scale also, no? Because here, somebody told us that they are removing forests to plant corn, monoculture as a monoculture, and then put the corn inside of the biodigester, no? So that is not sustainable at all, no? So I think it's related to the scale, no? Because the projects that we know in Mexico are small, no? Like very domestic, it's like, it's not an industrial project, but here is industrial, no? So I'm glad to learn this other side of this technology, because it's complex, no? It's more complex than I thought at the beginning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the scale, that's very important. There's actually, I can't remember the name now, but there's a French inventor who also did exactly that. So he was feeding his whole, he was driving his car with the biogas, he was heating his whole household with it, he was cooking with it, but he used compost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a thing I would love to develop also. I want to develop a hot shower also with that. And yeah, so I think scale is the key word.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I think I was very impressed by the diversity of the dimensions of your work, like kind of this historical part of your family story and all this digital work you've unfolded in the works, and then also the more technical installation part and the community projects. I'm interested actually how you work, like how do you work together? How is it? Is there a specific focus each of you, or do you do everything together, or how do you manage to do this diversity in the work?
We always invite other people to participate, no? And for example, at the beginning, David was doing all the animations, and I was doing almost all the scripts, but nowadays the roles are mixed, no? I had to learn how to make 3D images and 3D animations, and he's also always sharing his experience for the scripts, no? And we understand that we don't know everything, so we are always looking for help between friends, no? And between the people we work with, no? And one part of our work is to share knowledge, no? At the end. So most of our work is open, like copyleft, open source, yeah. So you can watch it online, you can download, you can we didn't show the fanzines, but you can download the fanzines and print it by yourself, no? So yeah, we are always changing our roles, no? Between
we use work with a lot of people, no? I mean, with a lot of friends, with a lot of collaborators, musicians, writers, editorials. I mean, we work just always with another people.
I really thank you so much, and it's really impressive amount of work. Like just a small thing, but just this so interesting when you can see artists working this kind of social sculpture. I always think of it as the work that you're doing in public space. That is so much labor, like to build those moments and those like that kind of unseen work that's like which is like practice, which is in my mind communication, like and how you build those relationships, but also then like the minimal kind of like sculptures in public space that you're making, which are very conceptual but also still like usable, like how the kids run it or how you can skip and have a moment in public space to like look at something, and but in this very completely different aesthetic. And I really appreciate all that different aesthetic, and then to see the work then that you're making within a gallery context with an exhibition kind of aesthetic was really amazing quality. Like, it's always hard, I think, for artists to be able to kind of do that whole array of work, but you're like, you know, it's very impressive in each space. The kind of, I think the aesthetics really comes through, which is really interesting. Yeah,
Thank you.
amazing.
Thanks.
I wanted to add to your question, because I also think this is super interesting, like how you just like develop your work in different contexts, but always like in relation to your family history or like your research that is ongoing, obviously, and you know, like your collaboration. Is there any challenges in, for example, I imagine you're also building a network at the same time, which is super powerful and really important, and maybe through this collaboration, by like sharing, you know, ideas and like thinking together like how to do things, and also like check in with the communities and like work with communities. And is there ever any conflict where you think like you're up for like the next project sort of, but also like from the network or like even like between you, someone would like approach you like, you know, like, no, we need to do this, and you're like in a totally different situation in a way. Like how because ideally I imagine this is like a continuous thing that just like grows and grows and grows, but where are like the challenges in this like networking with it?
Sorry, I think that I didn't understand the question. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, okay. How do you develop the work at the same time collectively, but also I just like imagine that maybe at some points you might like your interests might like shift in a different way, like, you know, like your like interest like to go like maybe like work more on the community-based work, or work more on the animations or the sculptural work, and like how do you resolve these things, situations?
We fight a lot. Yeah, no, I think that is, yes, we discuss a lot about the projects, no? I mean, it's not real that between people that worked together for many years doesn't fight, no? Of course, we have to agree some points. But at the end, I think this is interesting too, is you don't have to agree, see? You don't have agree in all the points, no? You we can ceder, it's like give some parts, no? And to build something together. To build something together, sometimes you have to let it go, no? Let go your own your interest, and to build something different. It's not completely different, of course, but it's something that you build together, you know? Yeah, so you learn how to be flexible, you know, how to feel the other people, how to respect the difference, you know, and you don't have to wait that everybody thinks in the same way as you, you know. So even with the difference, you can create something. And yeah, we are trying to work all the time in gentle way, no? Not only between us, but also with the people, with the rest of the people, no? Trying to hear all the voices and with the respect of the things that they are sharing with us. Tell us the truth.
No, it's true. We are ready for the movie.
Sí, pero igual, Cornelia y Camila.
Yeah, I'll say what I was thinking the last perhaps 5-10 minutes after your talk, because I found such a wonderful link between the Berber's digester you are doing and your mother being sister of this volcano and your grandpa making houses from volcano and stone. I was thinking this is a wonderful, for me in my eyes at this moment, a wonderful example for embodied knowledge. The knowledge you are generating is embodied, not only in you, it's embodied in your family. And I began to make a map and focusing up for the moment. What is knowledge? What is knowledge for Amauta and space? For example, it's memory. Knowledge is memory, and knowledge is giving back dignity to people who struggled so hard, and knowledge is empowerment because you are generating now, you are a living volcano making in this biogas, generating this material, and it's again and again it's materializing things that you can't see in this world. This world is what I can do in all my life in this house with stone again. And it's caring for yourself, and it's touching these materials, and is understanding modern ways of living, and is sharing ideas and building networks as we said. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Thanks.
I have like maybe 2 questions. I don't know if maybe it's too much, but first of all, like
You need to turn the camera to you.
No, I'm kidding. First is like how your mother perceived the work, like because I mean in this kind of life and storytelling, sometimes it's like really difficult. My father and my mother always ask me like, okay, we understand that you are an artist, but we don't know, so it's complicated for them. That's the first question. And the second one is like how the process of being a migrant like recently has changed or your perception or has affected your practice, because I think that's a common question also for me in this kind of time of my life, like
Yeah, my mom at the beginning, she was like, "What are you doing?" No, I mean, I don't know how your moms are, but the Mexican style is like, "Oh, my hija, this is beautiful." No, even when you show her like something very weird, they always say that everything that you do, it's beautiful, no? Oh, mijita, that is beautiful. But her face like, but so I noticed that, no? So I changed my language to approach my work to her, no? I started to use the songs that she liked, and I started to tell the stories with her words, no? So, for example, the video that we couldn't hear very well with this character is swimming, nadando in the water. The song, it was not familiar for her, but now it's her favorite song. No, so she's singing it all the time. And when we have a call together, she's singing, no? Like, look, mija, I can sing this song better, no? And she starts to sing. So I think that yes, I changed my language to approach my work to her, and I think that she appreciated that. Yeah, she appreciated that, and me too, I have to say, because I learned to be more soft, no, not so rigid, no, not so academic. And the second question, you can say something about migration?
Well, now we don't have house, we are homeless, no? I mean, we have a apartment and a studio here, thanks a lot for that. But our situation in Europe is a little bit fragile because the register of the housing situation in Netherlands. But yeah, it's a, I don't know, it's a, for me, I think so, it's a small problem, no? I can do that, I can fix that thing. Yeah, use that, no?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit weird, it's a little bit sometimes tired, but yeah, we can do.
We can do it. But also, the other day, we had to present proofs of that we are searching for a house to the Netherlands, no? To the Netherlands government. So we printed all our rejections, and it was like this, no? Or the documents. And we are thinking that, this is another piece of art. Yeah, no, like all the bureaucracy involved to the housing situation for migrants. I mean, we are, yeah, we have to be clear, no? We are expats, no?
Yeah. We have
So,
privilege,
yeah, so it's yeah, it's overwhelming, but we still have privilege. It's amazing, no? It's incredible.
house now and an income.
Yeah, many people doesn't have that, no? So yes, that can change our work here.
Practice is also like, as you start like working with these volcanoes in Netherlands, it starts like shifting in a way to connect with the ecosystem here, with the surroundings here. And I don't know, I found really, yeah, I'm in that process as well. But it's like quite complicated to have the time, for example, to talk about like all the different layers that we are like sharing in our projects, because it's like, okay, welcome to Latin America. So the context is so big that it's like super difficult to just like arrive to this kind of context and just share it. So for me, I'm still struggling. That's why I'm always, when I present something, it's like starting with the map and going to Colombia, and it's like, come on, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of things. So I don't know, how do you feel that, or how you manage those situations in this context, where maybe there is no many time to do a presentation like today, that we went to the past and we understand everything. And then, yeah.
Yeah, for us, we always used to work with people, no? With a lot of people. But being the Netherlands for the first time of life was difficult in terms of cooperation, to find some kind of cooperation in terms of work, no? Because we don't know the people, we don't know the culture, we don't know the language, we don't know the codes. And we don't have a network, no? So for us, was easier, it was easier to talk with the volcanoes, to talk with the people in the Netherlands, no? So that was like a form to introduce ourselves to the land first, no? So we started to think about why we are here, and how we can develop a relationship, at least with these volcanoes, no? And slowly we start to feel something, no, with the land. For us, I don't know if it's comprehensible, but for us, it's important to have a relationship with the land that we are. And then slowly we can talk with the people. We are creating a network, so we don't feel so isolated nowadays. No, it's not the same, no, but it's better than when we arrived. And it's hard to explain all this history, but we are trying to do it through our work, no? I mean, in the film that we want to show you, you don't want to see all this historical context, no? But it's in the movie in certain way, no? So when you will see it, perhaps you can understand something related with this, or perhaps you could understand something different, but it's up to you, no? What it depends of your knowledge, your background, what you understand. But we build the film with all this background. So I think that we cannot explain all the time our background, but we always put it in our work in certain way, not in a very in a illustrative way, but it's there.